Good afternoon, I think it is, ladies and gentlemen. Lounging with Lisa, the video series that has me lounging while coming at you with thoughts of the day. As some of you already know, because I sent a few emails out, and if I didn't send you one, I apologize. I was just trying to remember. Longtime loungers, this, that, and the other to send the information to. But my mother passed away, is today Wednesday? Yeah, Tuesday morning about around 10, maybe a little earlier. It wasn't really expected. This is going to sound really weird, and I'll tell you what happened, but it wasn't expected until like the night before, about 7 or 8 o'clock. I did a video. The last video I did was about how she went to get the blood work, and she just kind of, okay, so she deteriorated basically throughout that day. But meanwhile, Liz stayed with her all day because my brother had to leave to go back to New Mexico. Well, if I get confused or whatever, can't pull a thought together, I'll just hit pause, which I'm doing now. So when I stopped over there along my way to work before I made that last video, I realized there was no way that, we're just going to leave Mom there alone, She could maneuver and walk and all that, but she just really was under the weather, had no appetite, blah, 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 blah. So Liz was with her most of the day, well, until I got home after 3 o'clock. And she just didn't want to eat anything, and she was pretty tired. Well, to make a long story short, which is not my strong suit, as you know, the doctor did call, and the results for that morning blood test came back, and Mother was severely anemic. He knew that she did not want any special help to remain living at age 95. But he said, he had to let me know what the protocol would be to take her to a hospital and she would get a blood transfusion, which Mom was not going to do. For reasons I just said. She didn't want to be resuscitated. She didn't want to be on life support. She didn't want to... Mother felt guilty, like almost survivor's guilt, that she was outliving younger people. Like somebody 50 years old died suddenly, or even 70. She'd be like, oh my God, I would trade places or whatever, because she really had a full, good life. And she did. And just the last month's been hard. Other than that, longtime loungers can tell you that I've never had to come on and say how sick Mom is, or she can't do this or that. It just happened, like, the end of October. And then plus from her birthday on November 12, where she did turn 95, so that was great. She got, like, a citation from our local state representative, Park Wentling, and, it was pretty neat. It's like this big form. It says, like, whereas Jackie Houserman, in thereof, all that stuff, for being 95. It was nice. So, anyhow, that was November 12th, and she was really improved. She did a couple of videos, like we went out. She got to see the animals at Ears Acres, I think it was on the 15th. And then the Thanksgiving video, it was very short, but nonetheless, she was good, and she had the best Thanksgiving. My sister had visited before, and then Blaney was there, my brother, for Thanksgiving. And Joel's one son, Justin, with his 2 kids, that Mom loves those kids. I'm so glad they were able to come. And she just went on about what a great job I did and all this. I didn't really do that much, ladies and gentlemen. She was impressed with everything lately, so I let her have her party. But anyhow, and then after that, like Saturday, I spent the day over there with her, and Blaine was still here. And we just didn't want her to be alone for hours at a time, and he had some things to do that day. And, of course, I was over, and we were looking at different videos and talking, and her legs were a little swollen, and like near the ankle, the one. And so I was sitting there with, like, her legs on me, and we had some ice on them, and I'm holding the computer on her. It was really nice. She was totally with it. She understood what the videos were talking about, which is something I can't talk about on here because they'll throw me off immediately. Yeah. And then Sunday she was good, and then by the time, they dreaded getting up at 6 in the morning on Monday to go for this damn blood work. And I said, because Mom had a difficult time in the morning, like, getting with it and getting her clothes on and everything was kind of difficult due to the fact that she's been weak and under the weather. Now that we found out she's really anemic, that explains a lot. So, wait, I'm losing my train. I said to her, why don't you just sleep in your clothes, literally? And she looked at me like horrified, because Mother always dressed nicely no matter what. And she would have never done this years ago. There's no way. I said, sleep in your clothes, get up, brush your teeth, whatever, and go. And that's what they did. So I guess they had kind of a fun time getting ready for bed that night, and everything was cute. So anyhow, Blaine left. Aunt Liz spent the day with her, and at one point, she was starting to not feel very good as it went on. Um, but she was talking to Liz and blah, blah, blah. And she said she really would like to just go to sleep and not wake up. And of course, Mom always said that's how she wanted to go, but she meant now. Then it turns out that she's been talking to Blaine a little bit about she's okay with going, leaving or whatever. And there were a few things that of a personal nature, believe it or not, I don't tell you all everything, that I kind of told her recently. And in fact, right before she slipped into what I'm going to call a coma, it's the only way I can describe it, that I thought would help her if she needed to go. I mean, there's no way I'm going to keep Mom around just because, and have her suffer. So, I'm sorry. So, let me get where I was. I apologize. Okay, so I got these results about the anemia. And Mother was with it. It was 5 o'clock. I remember that. And I said, Mom, I've got to rob you blind because I'm going to have to get you all these vitamins and stuff. I didn't really have to rob her of that much money. But she only got one of the things each. God love her. But I went down to the pharmacy here in Conneaut Lake, PA. And they helped me pick it out. It was iron with vitamin C and then like vitamin B50. Evidently was something she needed. Whatever. And she was able to take those pills. And I think that's almost the last time she was able to really swallow anything. So we went into the, did this, that, and the other thing. By this time, it's getting to be like 6 o'clock. I said, do you think you could try those scrambled eggs that Blaine had made her in the morning, but we just put them in a little baggie and put them away? She said, I think I might be able to. And this is where things get, kind of bad. Must have been 6:37, about 7. She said, I think I can make it to the kitchen. Of course, I would walk behind her. Now, recently, she was able to maneuver around the house, of course. She would just use a little cane that one of her friends gave her that she really liked. So we didn't have to, walk behind her all the time or do any of that. But I did now because she was extremely weak. We knew she was anemic, all that. So I was behind her, and we got just as far as, out of the hallway into the living room, right at the bathroom door area where my father died. And she went down. Now, she didn't, hit the floor or thud her. It was more like she crumpled to the ground. She collapsed. It's not like she, fell. And I was right with her. And I'm like, Mom, you told me you could make it. What are you doing? And we're on the floor, kind of rolling around. It was sort of cute to be, if you were seeing it from another angle. And I was able to get her finally. I mean, she weighed, hardly anything. But when someone weighs hardly anything, and they're not helpful, they're dead weight, it's difficult for one person. So hang on, this is driving me nutty. Okay, so at one point I was able to get her and hold her in front of me, facing the same way, I'm on the ground. She's in between my legs with her back here, and I'm holding her. And then this is when she started to kind of really get loopy. And I said, Mom, do you think you could crawl long enough for me to get you to a chair? At this point, we determined that, she was not going to a hospital. Okay, so this might sound weird that we're doing all this. We just needed to get her up because this is the point where I figured, whenever I said earlier in this video, that it wasn't expected until about the night before, around 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock. We're in that time frame now because I just knew things were really bad. And that the next 24 hours or even 12 would be crucial. And I was right, of course. So I got a hold of Aunt Liz, who was here at this house. And she didn't come to the phone, but I was just hoping she heard my message. I said, I really need help getting Mom up, blah, 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 blah. Next thing I know, she's at Mom's. Came over in the dark with a flashlight. And Aunt Liz has a hard time maneuvering as well. But we both developed this ridiculously superhuman strength. What we did was we got Mother as comfortable as we could in that hallway, and it happens to be by this little door where there's a laundry chute that goes downstairs, and it's like a closet, like a linen closet thing, and the heat comes up from there, some of it. We got Mother super comfortable with pillows and whatnot, and her head by that bathroom door, and like I said, this is where my father died. My father just said, I have a headache, he went into the bathroom, he died. Massive cerebral hemorrhage, so she literally stayed in that hallway for, I'm going to say an hour, I think. Something like that. But she was cozy and covered up and everything. I think that's the last time that we said anything. She was able to say stuff. Because after a while, when I went to check, we had her covered up and she was propped up with pillows. Not just laying there like a rag doll, but you know what I mean. And I said, Liz, can you help me try to, have her say something? I don't remember when this was, not too long after, and she couldn't. we couldn't get her to talk at all. And I went to move her, and she kind of did yell out a little bit. And then I said, "Can you say anything, Mom?" And she said, "Uh-huh." I think "uh-huh" were her final words, which is kind of a joke, because over the years when you're having a conversation with Mother, and when she started to go, "uh-huh, uh-huh," that meant we knew right away she wasn't listening any longer, that her attention was elsewhere. And this is like for years, I think her whole life, the whole time we knew her. When she went into the aha phase, we knew that she has no clue. She's thinking about what she's making for dinner tonight or something else. So, anyhow, we had to leave her there for a little bit longer until we could get our strength. And then we decided we're going to try to get her into a chair. She has these chairs that are on wheels, but they're not wheel chairs. They're just her regular chairs that happen to wheel around. And so Aunt Liz and I, it was really hard. We had to get it so the wheels wouldn't move. And then I was in front of Mom, and she was like behind, whatever. We finally, after several attempts, she just couldn't move. She couldn't bend her legs, anything. It was like there was no help from her. We had to physically bend her and all this. Got her into the chair, and then we removed the pillow from the back so that her ass could be way against it, And we wheeled her turned her around the hallway and like made it so she was sitting up with her, like a pillow here, but against a door. And that took place for a while because we had to like regain our strength and figure out, our next move and everything. And all this time I'm checking, to see if she might have gone to the facilities, because she was wearing one of those things they make for adults, when you have a bladder or whatever issue. And she didn't. And it didn't surprise me too much because she went a little bit before that when she was alert. And she couldn't really drink much. It's like she didn't know how to drink, ladies and gentlemen. She couldn't suck on a straw. And I put it up to her, and she'd get just a little bit, like, without the straw. So, she was losing her everything. She was dying, basically. So Liz and I looked online, because we figured we've got to get this woman to a bed. So we looked online on how, it was like some nurse showing you how to pass your certification, how to move a patient from a wheelchair to the bed. And Liz really studied up on it because I was flying around doing something else. Then she told me how. And we wheeled Mom to the bedroom, which meanwhile we moved the bed and we switched the bedside table to the other side so we'd have total room to get her into that bed. And then Liz told me what to do, and that my part was like stand in front of Mom, put her knees in between my knees, and then you want to get them so they're looking you in the eye, and then you do the next step, which I don't know. But it worked. We did a great job on that, ladies and gentlemen. We got her into the bed, and then we would count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and, like you see in the movies. And we got her in that bed, relaxed, covered up. And, then I would check on her all the time, but I didn't have to totally go in there all the time because I was across the hall in what we call the master bedroom. And the woman snored all night long, and Mother was always quite the snorer. So her mouth was wide open, and she's snoring. I'm thinking she's going to be so dry, God love her, like if she were to regain. It was then, once we got her to bed and all that, or the floor episode, I figured, these next hours are crucial. It's really not in my hands any longer. It's in whatever you want, like the higher power or the creator of all or some most call God or whatever. It really was just out of my hands. I wasn't going to prolong any misery for the woman. And so, at any rate, about the next morning, she was still snoring, and I went in. I would talk to her like she could hear me, like, well, Mom, you're going through something rough here. We're going to try to get you through it. And I would always do this, touch her head and do this with her cheek. And then about 10 to 9, I left. I decided I'm going to go ahead and take care of the long ears today. And I've been using her car, as those who watch my videos know, Mabel, the car. And I got in, and I was left about 10 to 9. Like I said, she was still snoring. And afterward, I decided I'm just going to fly over to the DG and get some paper towels. I stayed at Ears Acres longer than I do in the morning, just to, unwind a bit. So it was around, I'm going to say, 9:45 or something like this. I called Liz and told her I'm just going to go ahead to the Dollar General, DG, and grab some paper towels because they needed some desperately over at Mom's house. And she said she had checked on her and no change, of course, snoring, whatever. And then a while, she said she was going to go check on her again. And by that time, I was coming out of the Dollar General, like returning my cart. And Liz called in and said, I can't get a pulse on your mom and she doesn't appear to be breathing. I think that she probably, like when I left that morning, like, and after Liz checked on her the first time, she probably went ahead and passed. I really do think people somehow, I don't know how, that they wait till all their ducks are in a row, kind of, and go. And Mom told me the day before, hours before she like went into a coma, lost consciousness, whatever you want to say, that Liz was a godsend. She really is. So Aunt Liz was there with her. She wasn't alone in the house or anything. And, I didn't know what to do. So I'm in the car and I'm driving. And that's only 2 miles away. And I called Joel and I'm like, Liz said this. Of course, Joel burst into tears. That's perpetual. And I said, I don't know what to do. Like, who do I call if someone dies in their home? I didn't know the protocol. I knew that he did. So he told me what to do. What I did was, first of all, I got home to her and tried to check for signs of life. And we weren't seeing them at all or feeling them. And so I called 911 and I just told them what happened. We don't really know what to do. So they sent out a local officer who was, I swear to you, ladies and gentlemen, he had to be 6'8", and he looks like he's 12. But I'm old now, so everybody's going to look that way, like cops and things. They just seem so young. Anyhow, he, verified, of course, that she had passed, and then he asked us all kinds of questions because I'm sure they have to make sure we didn't murder someone or whatever. And then he called the coroner and said, generally speaking, after he can't leave till the coroner gets there, and then the funeral home normally comes and gets Mom or whoever. And Katie and Spencer have been notified. I forgot this part. Oh, my God. The night before, right when Mother turned really bad, like around 8 o'clock, I think it was, I didn't really want to bother them. They were in Florida. They were going to come home on the 1st, but they wanted to stay, like, till Friday. And they wanted to get home immediately, just, to be with us or to be with her or whatever. And my ex-husband was in the background saying, no, they decide they really want to be there. And so they're coming. And they left like 10 minutes after that phone call. And they got in, I don't know, 1:30 the next afternoon or something like that. Anyhow, we wanted them to get there to be able to spend time with Mother, or what formerly was Mother. I'm just going to say Mother. Or Bubby is what we all call her, really. Especially Spencer. He's the one who invented it when he was like 5. So they arrived. Spencer he's having a very hard time. He lived over there, cared for her, knew her better than we did, even like her own kids, because he was there all the time, and Katie. So it's a lot different. Little everyday things, you know what I mean? So, and he was so lucky to have a grandparent for 27 years, or 26 years. Spencer just turned 26. My grandparents died when I was little, like, not even 10, like around 5 or something like that, or maybe 8, the other ones. So, yeah, he really had a good run with and he was very close to her. So, anyhow, the coroner came, was really nice. His mom just died too, the coroner's mom. And we talked, and then I know the funeral home people, of course, and they've known Mom forever. And they said they would just wait, like kind of, I don't want to say break protocol because I don't think it's that huge of a deal, but they would go ahead and allow a little extra time before they came together. All we had to do is, as soon as Spencer and Katie got there, to call them. And that's Wade Coleman Funeral Home in Conneaut Lake. So, I just left them alone with her, and they spent time and, doing whatever it is you do. And then the funeral home came, and I didn't really want to see them wheel Mother out. She lived in that house over 70 years. And, would never walk out of it again. And, unfortunately, I came inside too soon, and I did see it. But Spencer and Katie really wanted to be with her just till the bitter end, and they followed it down to the funeral home. And that's fine. Everybody has their own way. I just... so anyhow, okay. I guess that's the story. Today we met with the funeral director, and Mother, oh God love her, she was so organized. For those who have been here for a while, like she alphabetized her spice cabinet, and she was just really organized. She would tell me all the time, like, when I die, you look in this folder. Of course, when she died, I forgot about the damn folder, but Blaine came across it. A whole folder dedicated to what she wants, what she doesn't want, who to call, what funeral home, all that. So we met with them at 9:30. She's going to be cremated. I just want a few ashes to eventually, probably come spring. Dino, the owner of Ears Acres, because she enjoyed those animals so much. He even offered to have a service out there if we want. But I'm going to spread a few of her ashes out at Ears Acres, and the rest will be, Spencer will take some, I think, and then the rest will be buried next to my dad in Shermansville. So, yeah, thank God she organized all that stuff, and I guess that's really it with the service, which there's no calling hours, no viewing, none of that. Just a celebration of her life at her church, and she was a member of that church. She got married in that church. Fifth Street Presbyterian, or now it's just called Presbyterian of Conneaut Lake or something. Yeah, there's Zoe yelling. Oh, I took Zoe over to Mom's on Saturday to visit her. So, I mean, these little things, like she got to see Zoe and, all these little things, I think, made it okay for her to go ahead and let go whenever she started to feel poorly. So, and her doctor called. They loved her in there. They said she was such a great dresser, always dressed up, and she'd yell, "Hang loose" on the way out. Hang loose is going in the obit. The part Hee-Haw and Stanley are going in the obit in terms of what she enjoyed in her later years. And it's a nice obit and a lovely picture that Katie took, because Katie's a professional photographer. So that's it. Saturday at 11 at the church in Conneaut Lake, a celebration of Mom's life. My sister will be in tonight. We have to deal with the legal jazz tomorrow. And I have to have, Aunt Liz is going to be here, for a while now, but I have to take her down to Greenville in the morning to have some blood work, the famous blood work. And then I'll bring her back here, and she can stay at Mom's and take phone calls or whatever you do. That's the story. Oh, good gravy. I'm not even going to play this back before I upload it, because I just have to get going. If I don't respond to comments right away, just forgive me, because I'm not really glued to this too much lately. A lot of people, or several people I emailed, did get back to me, and I appreciate everything kind you said about Mom. I know that she was very popular in the lounge, and she enjoyed doing the videos. Most of the time. Sometimes she didn't want to because she wasn't looking too good or whatever. But, alright, thanks a lot, everybody. I really appreciate it. This is a new chapter and the end of an era, really. So, okay, thanks for everything here on Lounging with Lisa. Over and out.